my name is Marcellus Brown, and this is my ship, the Whydah Galley. It was captained by Black Sam Bellamy. He was one of the, you could say, pirate lords of the golden age of piracy, and he became one of the richest until his main flagship crashed off of Cape Cod, and no one was left alive. You could say their greed caught up with them. Yeah.
So take us through this beautiful creation that you have here then, because there's so much to take in. Where did you start with this build?
I had to start way down at the base because transporting this thing was definitely one of the priorities if I was ever going to move it anywhere, you know? So I made the base plate being the major build of the bottom, super rigid and like stacked with so many Lego plates. It was kind of ridiculous. Yeah, so then from there it just started to grow upwards. So then it was up on the sides, then it was the forecastle, and eventually the masts came up and everything came into place.
So talk about the masts and sails then, and what you used to achieve that.
I actually just stopped by Joann's and grabbed a yard of some just standard fabric, stuff that looked heavy as actual real thick canvas and light enough for my Lego pieces to not bend under the weight.
It works really well. So what are some of the details then that you have on the top deck? You've got cannons. What else is going on there?
So when the crew of Black Sam Bellamy found the Whydah, or found being they stole it from other people, they found tons of treasure under the hold, like ginormous piles. He became the richest pirate like ever in just one day. It was crazy. So I've got the treasure chest there to show off the, massive amount of loot they gained. I also wanted to show, in battle, so I added cannon fire and crazy amounts of explosions happening around the side. There's a pirate there evading a deserter trying to run away with all the rum.
Now, one thing that's cool about this ship is it actually has some of an interior underneath the main deck, right?
It does. I can totally open that up for you right now. It just takes a while because all the cannons and such tend to, clutter up the deck, honestly.
But you can see once, as you take off the cannons, then it starts to open it all up.
Yeah, so once all the cannons are off, it becomes definitely a transformation between the main deck and below decks. Here we go. And that all comes apart, and you can look inside. Now, one of the main things when making the interior was to have lots of like little cannons in there, because when they discovered the Whydah, they being the archaeologists finding the wreck of the Whydah, they found nearly like 100 cannons inside, or if not 100, a lot. And that was because when they looted the Whydah, they being the pirates, they had to use cannons in order to have enough displacement under the water to keep the ship afloat. So they needed all those cannons at the bottom to try and, not sink, basically. There's also another area back here that basically just shows the brig.
Just gotta reach around all the rigging.
Yeah, the rigging's not even done yet. It's about half complete. I'm hoping by next year all the rigging will be placed up and it will be restored to its full glory. But yeah, down there is the brig with a couple of dead Imperial soldiers, because that's all they're good for.
I love the story you've created with this. So the rigging that you do have done so far, talk about how you kind of achieved that, because there's a lot going on with this build.
Yeah, so the rigging was done probably a week before I came here, which is why it's not done. I have this instruction manual from a plastic model kit I had, And since the model plans were very similar to the ship I was trying to build, I used those same plans to try and plan out where all the rigging would go. So I used slip knots everywhere, and eventually I got to a point where I got exactly the build I wanted. So then it was on to the rat lines and such, but those didn't get completed because since I needed to finish the dead eyes. The dead eyes at the bottom were super hard because trying to fit a needle through all those like tiny little spokes of wheels was really hard.
I imagine, but it looks fantastic there, and you've even got all of this kind of gold decorative stuff on the front as well.
Yeah. So that was just tubes, Lego tubes that are just threaded through with these golden cones. And it's a very simple process, but it pays off in a big way. I also did it in the back there on the stern just to show and highlight that the stern.
No, yeah, why not add more decoration? So when this travels to a show, does it travel, the whole ship travel as one piece?
Yeah, the whole ship is thick and the base plate is strong enough that the whole thing can just be lifted off and taken to wherever it needs to go. There is a lot of things you have to do with the rigging and such, since that's always a nightmare. Trying to deconstruct in certain places where it won't tangle up. And of course it still gets tangled up, but yeah, that's basically the entire process. And then coming here, it was just a matter of rebuilding where all the rigging should go and such.
You've even brick built the flags all around here as well, which is very impressive.
That was one of the things I had to do. It was one of the things I envisioned, like right from the start. I had to brick build my flags. And I had to do it in such a way that it would give the energy of my pirate ship. Basically transforming this not only into a historical build, but also a emotional and hardened build of pirates. And yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, no, it looks fantastic. Do you know how many pieces are in the whole build overall?
Gosh, if I had to guess, I'd say nearly over 2,000. Probably 20,000. I have no idea, because everything on front is probably doubled by everything underneath, and then doubled by everything below it. So it's, who knows at this point.
It adds up quickly, but the whole build is very impressive here. All of the details that you were able to include, as well as the whole story for it. It looks really impressive on display, so thank you so much for chatting with me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for interviewing. There's one of my passions, and it's amazing to be recognized.
Awesome. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you.